Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to both of our witnesses on this really important topic. Dr. Hughes, I'd like to start with a question for you. I'm a big fan of the TSET program. I think it has the potential to bring some really innovative treatments to Medicare, and I'm glad the CMS is implementing it, but it certainly has been criticized for its lack of breadth, because with only the capacity to process 5 applications a year, it really is not considered a viable pathway by a lot of different medical providers, just because the competition for those slots is so intense. We've got a bill that we're considering in the package today, HR 1691, which would provide some relief for that, but only in the case of medical devices, not treatments or medications. So can you give us some comfort that TSET's a viable program, and that maybe there is a viable pathway for these innovative treatments in the future?
Thank you for that important question. Certainly we share your interest that we have to facilitate timely access to these devices. I would note that TSET pathways, in addition to the other 3 coverage processes and the vast majority of decisions for breakthrough devices are made at the local level on a claim-by-claim basis or through a local coverage determination, and so those will stay in place. With respect to the TSET pathway, as we work with FDA and look to see what is in the pike, once you whittle out a number of devices that would not be appropriate, whether it's for pediatric populations or they don't have a benefit category or the cosmetics, or then the number does decrease significantly, and we think that we expect maybe about 8 nominations. This is voluntary self-nominations by manufacturers. And with our current resources, we think that we could accommodate 5 reviews. Of course, that is, we have about 4 to 5 NCDs open at any one point in time generally, and so this adding additional 5, that is a significant expansion for us.
I think that we would be interested in working with you to make sure that we have a viable pathway for the approval of these technologically advanced treatments, particularly in expanding the universe of services and products that we're offering those treatments in. For example, diagnostics is one that I think is underutilized right now. And I think that, overall, the goal here is to not only improve the quality of health care for our beneficiaries, but also to lower the cost. And these approvals that use the TSET pathway have the potential to do that in ways that few other treatment plans do. So we'd be interested in working with you on that.
Thank you. We would work with you.
Mr. Dicken, I've really enjoyed your testimony, and I found some of it extremely eye-opening, particularly when you're talking about the impact that rebates have on the operation of the free market when it comes to the provisions of pharmaceuticals. It's very clear that these rebates quite often are untransparent, and that quite often they result in counterintuitive market behaviors that come at the disadvantage of the people ultimately paying the bills, which are the taxpayers and the patients. In particular, I was struck by the point that you made that you've identified cases where some companies use the rebate scheme to provide preferential treatment to brand name drugs, which actually resulted in a savings for them, but a higher cost to the people that ultimately paid the copays for those drugs, which obviously is not something that we want to encourage. And I know this is probably outside your purview at the GAO, but obviously you're an expert. Can you tell me what should we in Congress be doing about that? Because it seems to be a really tenacious and pervasive problem.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. And you've identified kind of where we found for these very highly rebated drugs that might be 30, 40, 50% of the list price rebated, but not, which would lower the overall price for that drug, but not help the beneficiary when they're paying that drug, their cost share at the pharmacy. That's why we recommend as the first step to at least have continued monitoring. Certainly as new drugs come online, as there are significant changes in the authority that CMS has under the Inflation Reduction Act. Important to have that information that can help Congress, help CMS to make sure that these aren't unduly affecting certain types of beneficiaries that are not getting access to lower cost alternatives.
Well, I'm sure I'm not unique here on the dais when I say I'm extremely skeptical that more monitoring is going to solve the problem. I mean, we have been monitoring. We're aware that this problem exists. When we have plans that are making more money on the rebates for a drug than it costs them to buy the drug, and that results in higher costs for the people who are taking the drug, there's something wrong with the system. And I think that we in Congress have a role in making sure that that does not continue. But thank you both for your testimony. Mr. Chairman,